They said the convent was a holy place, but from the very next week after her mother's visit, Amarachi began to feel like she was living inside a prison. Sister Agatha's eyes, which once carried that fake calmness of holiness, now followed her everywhere like shadows. The punishment started subtly, in ways Amarachi couldn't even explain. During meals, while other sisters had a fair portion of food, Amarachi's plate would come with only a spoonful of rice, or sometimes just watery beans. She thought it was a mistake until she realized Sister Agatha was always the one standing by the kitchen door, watching. When Amarachi tried to ask why her food was so little, Sister Agatha smiled. "Fast, my daughter. You must learn to crucify the flesh." At first, Amarachi took it as discipline. Maybe this was what it meant to belong to Jesus, she thought. But soon, it became unbearable. While others rested, she was sent to scrub floors that were already clean. While others sang in the chapel, she was made to wash the convent's clothes, bending over buckets until her fingers were wrinkled. From morning until night, she was kept busy, her spirit weak, and the strangest part, she didn't even know what she had done wrong. She didn't know why Sister Agatha hated her. She was only here to give herself to the Lord. But what she faced in the convent made her question her decision. One night, after a particularly exhausting day of carrying firewood from the store to the convent kitchen, Amarachi gathered courage and went to Sister Agatha's room. She knocked softly, trembling. "Sister Agatha, please, I beg you, what have I done? Why are you treating me this way?" For a long time there was silence. Then the door creaked open, and Sister Agatha stepped out, her face dimly lit by the corridor lamp. She bent low, her voice sharp and venomous. "Your mother," she hissed. "That woman you call mother. She's the reason. Her prayers disturb us. And because you are her daughter, the price falls on you." Amarachi froze. "My mother's prayers? How? Is this place not a sacred place? How is my mother's prayer meant to disturb the convent?" All the way from her heart she said within her, she wanted to defend her mother, but fear tied her tongue. Sister Agatha straightened her veil, composed herself, and with that same sweet outward tone she used around the others, she added, "Go and sleep, child. Tomorrow will be heavier." And heavier it became. Amarachi's friends in the convent began to notice her sunken cheeks and tired eyes, but anytime they tried to speak up for her, Sister Agatha would twist her words, claiming Amarachi was rebellious, that she needed to be broken in order to be fully dedicated to Christ. One afternoon, Amarachi reached her breaking point. After days of hunger and endless chores, she sneaked into the convent's small office and requested permission to visit her mother. She needed to see her, to tell her what was happening, but before she could even finish her request, Sister Agatha stormed in. Her eyes blazed with hidden rage, though her lips carried that false smile. "Visit your mother," she repeated, her voice echoing against the walls. "Never again. You belong to Jesus now, not to that woman. The convent is your home, and I am your guide. Forget her, or risk losing your place here." Amarachi felt her knees grow weak. She wanted to scream, to run, but the other nuns only bowed their heads, pretending not to hear. They feared Sister Agatha more than they loved the truth. That night, as Amarachi lay on her thin mattress, tears rolling silently down her face, she remembered her poor mother, how she had kicked against her coming to the convent. But what could she do? She was trapped. Trapped between silence and suffering. Days turned into weeks, and her strength began to fade. Her body grew thinner, her voice weaker. But deep inside, a quiet fire was beginning to burn, a mixture of fear, suspicion, and the longing to escape, and unknown to her, every prayer her mother whispered at home was shaking the walls of the convent. Was the reason Sister Agatha hated her? The witches were restless, their secret meetings disturbed, and Sister Agatha, she was to initiate Amarachi into their witch's coven, but her mother's prayers were shielding her. She made up her mind she was going to leave the convent. She was tired of being caged. "But how am I going to achieve this?" she asked herself. "The security at the gate is so tight. Sister Agatha's eyes is always on me. Oh God, please help me." And then a thought came to her mind. Meanwhile, Sister Agatha and the other witches had agreed that they were going to initiate Amarachi physically, since they couldn't get her spiritually because of her mother's prayers. They concluded that the initiation was going to take place on their next meeting. But then, Amarachi's mother doubled her prayer life. While she walked, She prayed. While she ate, she prayed. Even while she was having a discussion with someone, she prayed, asking God to protect her daughter and expose the evil going on in that convent and set her daughter free. Finally, the next night, it was unusually quiet in the convent, too quiet. Even the birds that usually perched around the chapel roof were gone. Amarachi could feel it in her bones. The air was heavier than usual, as though something unseen watched every step she took. She had been asked to lock the poultry door before midnight prayers. It was a small task, one she did almost every night, but this time it felt strange. As she walked across the dimly lit courtyard, the wind brushed against her white veil, and the only sound was her own breathing. The poultry was behind the chapel, a lonely corner that always gave her chills. The moment she reached the gate, she noticed flickering light coming from the chapel window. Midnight prayers weren't until 2 hours from now. Curiosity made her pause. She leaned closer, and that's when she heard them, whispers, low, and filled with something dark. She pressed her ear against the wall. The time is ripe, one of the voices said. That girl, her mother's prayers delayed us for too long. Tomorrow night, her body will be sealed to the covenant. Once her blood touches the altar, she's ours. Amarachi's eyes widened. The voices. They were familiar. She recognized one immediately, Sister Agatha. Her knees went weak. She peeped through a tiny opening on the wall and her entire body went cold. Inside the chapel, the nuns she prayed with every day were not praying to God. They were dressed in black robes, standing in a circle, their hands raised over a flame that burned on an upside-down crucifix. Then Amarachi heard her own name, Amarachi, daughter of the chosen one. Tomorrow, she joins the circle. Her breath caught in her throat. Her rosary slipped from her hand. This was no convent, this was a coven. Heart pounding, she turned and ran. The sound of her sandals slapping the floor echoed down the hallway like screams. She burst into her room, shut the door, and pressed her back against it, shaking. Tears rolled down her face as she grabbed her small bag, the same one she brought when her mother first brought her here. Inside it, she stuffed her Bible, the small white scarf her mother had prayed over, and her rosary. She whispered through tears, God, please, please, just help me go home. But before she could move, a voice came from behind her, going somewhere, Sister Amarachi. She froze. Slowly, she turned, and there was Sister Agatha, standing by the door, smiling coldly. Amarachi stammered, Mother Superior. I just wanted to pray outside. Sister Agatha took a step forward. No need to lie, my dear. You heard us, didn't you? Her tone was calm, almost kind, but her eyes glowed faintly red. Your mother's prayers have been troublesome. Every night, her voice breaks through our circle. But tell me, Amarachi, how long do you think she can keep it up? Even the strongest prayers grow weak. Amarachi backed away, clutching her bag to her chest. You're not a servant of God, she whispered. Sister Agatha laughed a devilish laugh. Oh, my child. God left this place long ago. The candles suddenly went out, plunging the room into darkness. When they flickered back on, Agatha's shadow stretched unnaturally long across the wall, bending and twisting like it had a life of its own. Amarachi screamed and ran. Down the hallway, the church bells began ringing on their own, loud, violent, endless. As she fled toward the courtyard, she saw the other nuns emerging from the chapel. Their faces were blank, their eyes glassy. They began chanting her name, walking slowly toward her like puppets controlled by one spirit. Amarachi, she stumbled, fell, and crawled toward the main gate, the iron one that was always locked. She clung to it, sobbing, God, please, open this door. Then, somewhere far away, as if carried by the wind, she heard her mother's voice. Soft, but firm. Every covenant of darkness holding my daughter, break in the name of Jesus. A gust of wind swept through the courtyard. The padlock on the gate shook violently, then snapped open. Sister Agatha screamed behind her. A thick, dark smoke rose from her hands. Her eyes burned red like fire. You can't run from me, Amarachi. Your blood is promised. Amarachi pushed the gate open and ran into the night. Lightning flashed, illuminating the convent behind her, but for a split second, It didn't look like a convent anymore. It looked like a ruin. Blackened walls, broken statues, no light. She kept running until her feet could no longer carry her. She collapsed by the roadside, crying, trembling, calling for her mother. Hours later, as dawn broke, she found herself at her mother's compound. The old woman was already outside, kneeling in prayer, tears running down her cheeks. When she saw her daughter, she screamed, "Amarachi!" and ran to her. They held each other tight, both weeping uncontrollably. "I felt them fighting you," her mother whispered. "But heaven won't let them win." Amarachi could barely speak. "Mama, they are not nuns. They are witches. I saw them. I heard them." Her mother nodded calmly. "I know, my child. I have always seen them in my dreams. But you're safe now." She led Amarachi inside and placed the Bible on her head. They began to pray. The atmosphere felt lighter, peaceful. For the first time in weeks, Amarachi breathed freely, but then, something strange happened. The rosary she had been clutching since her escape began to shake in her hand. One of the beads cracked open, and a faint, red mist slipped out. The candle flickered. The wind howled again. Her mother stopped praying. Slowly, she looked up, her eyes wide with realization. They are not done yet. At that exact moment, from somewhere far away, church bells began to ring, the same sound from the convent. Amarachi's body went cold. She turned toward the window. The morning sun was bright, yet she could see shadows moving outside, and then, she heard it. A familiar voice whispering softly from behind her ear. Sister Amarachi, it's time for morning prayers. What we don't know is bigger than us, but whatever it is, do not relent in prayers, pray without ceasing. The spiritual controls the physical. However you want to pray, traditionally or in the Christian way, do not forget to always pray. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you did, please drop a beautiful comment and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you again in my next story.